So I'm just curious, how many of y'all still invest in ICOs these days or are thinking about it? Well, if you do, then please watch this video and let me know your thoughts on what I'm about to share. And that is a quick comparison between the landscapes of the 2017 ICO market compared to 2018, and also how that's changed our strategy in terms of picking ICOs and also when to sell. So if you're interested in these topics, then keep on watching. Hi everyone, I'm Kevin from BFB, and to be honest with you, I don't personally invest in ICOs anymore because I live in the US and most ICOs restrict us these days. Thank you, SEC. But this video strategy is actually from Adrian, one of our other influencers, and I can say that I still wholeheartedly agree with his analysis and strategy as well. So if you enjoyed this video, please support us by smashing that like button, clicking subscribe down below if you haven't already, and we would greatly appreciate that. So before we begin, just a really quick disclaimer that this is not financial advice and only our personal strategies and opinions. So we all know ICOs are extremely risky. Many times they're scams, failed projects, get shut down by regulators, or just have a flood of competitors that take over their space. However, times are still a-changing, and things have become more restricted because of regulations, so ICOs and token sales have moved to ICO pools, private sales, etc., not the good old open crowd sales of yesteryear. Also, when markets catch on to very profitable ICO strategies, they will inherently price it in, and those will likely need to change or else they won't be profitable anymore. So if you guys were around in 17, you know that it was really hard to miss. You could throw darts at any random ICOs, most of them would get 10x gains, and the ones that only got 3x gains were considered underperforming. Even at the end of the year, the ICOs that didn't do well got major pumps by the bull run that we all so well know and remember. However, in 2018, things are much different. Some ICOs were still profitable, but many were not and dropped immediately after hitting exchanges. And this is all despite the fact that there were more ICO funds raised in 2018 than ever before in 2017. And the year's not over yet. On top of that, there's been a multi-month bear market, and this has forced people to just hodl some ICO coins that have dropped a lot since they've bought it. And this is really hard for people who just want to flip ICO tokens these days because it's hard to get those 50x short-term gains that they're looking for. And this is because of the average size of fundraise and the total market cap that you would expect if it were to go 50x. Just not realistic because of the math. On the other hand, it's also hard to just be a hodler because while it's great that you believe in the project, it may be incredibly risky to just put all your eggs in one basket and hold on for dear life because many things can go wrong in the ICO world. So because of this, we think that it's better to diversify to minimize your risk and practice proper risk management. So that's why we think it's great to lock in profits periodically, especially because when coins hit the exchange, you oftentimes have a hockey stick growth near the beginning. So you want to lock in profits early on in order to have that amount ready, risk-free to diversify into other projects. So what is our high-level strategy for the 2018 ICO landscape? Well, it includes two main things. One is lock in profits and two is diversify. But we also want to talk quickly about how we pick ICOs these days. The short-term considerations that we have are they need to have high buzz, demand for tokens, and hopefully a limited supply due to a restrictive whitelist. They should have high social media activity, big name partners, media coverage, and stellar team. These are all very preferable. And also we could consider the hard cap, range of prices in the different tiers, if they have any free tokens distributed via airdrop, and the likelihood that it'll get listed on major exchanges. Now, please note that we don't put more than 10 to 30% of our ICO investment capital into any one ICO, or else it becomes too risky and too dependent on one project in particular. But also in this extended bear market, this means that we kind of value having our capital sitting on the sidelines or in more major and stable coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. So these days we're very picky about the ICOs that we choose. Also, just note that there's no cookie cutter formula to pick the right ICOs. You win some, you lose some. This is a very valuable lesson to have. And when it comes to selling our ICO tokens, we like the third strategy, in which we split our ICO tokens into 3 batches. What do we do with the first third? Well, we sell at 3x of ICO price in ETH amount, or Bitcoin if you bought with Bitcoin. And the whole purpose is to try to increase your ETH balance. So we don't look at the USD price to set this 3x amount. We look at ETH amount that we spent for the ICO tokens, and that is our 3x sell limit order. And we put this ASAP after it gets listed on exchange. The earlier the better, because the pump often happens early, if at all. Be sure to catch this by acting quickly. And by doing this, we get 100% of our initial investment in Ethereum back, and so everything else that we do is risk-free. So what about the second third? Well, for this, we sell at 10x ICO price, once again in ETH. Already 100% profit that we get with this batch. We set it right after the first order is executed. Do it soon because the price often moves quickly, and if you miss it, the price may never return to that level. Well, what about the final third? The first thing that we can do with that is to either believe in the project and just hodl it for long term. The second thing is to set a pretty high limit order at like 20x, for example. And the third is to do a manual trailing stop loss. So that means as it goes up in price, then move the stop loss order to sell the tokens somewhat underneath it, so that if it drops heavily, you can execute that sell, but if it keeps on going up, you can ride the wave. So some of you may be asking, will you miss out on those huge gains, like 50x or 100x even? To be honest, sure, you may miss out on those, but if you look at the stats and look at the history of tokens, most likely this will not be a problem. But also we want to consider the math real quick. Like, let's say a token has already gone 10x, and then you're like, okay, I want 50x, but that means it would just be 5x on top of the current price. Instead, if you sold that amount and put it in a new one, and it went 10x again, that would be even greater than if you just held it and that same balance became 50x, right? 10 to 50 is 5x, but if you sell that amount and then put it in a new one that goes 10x again, it'll be even more gains. And just honestly, waiting for one jackpot coin is just not a good strategy, so it's always better to diversify in this case. And what if it doesn't work and none of these sell limit orders hit? Well, in that case, just reevaluate periodically if you still like this project and still believe in it, so you can decide yourself whether to hold or eventually cut your bag if you see another really promising project that you want to use that capital for instead. So everyone, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about our ICO landscape analysis and also our strategy. If you like it, please smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. This is Kevin. I hope you had an amazing rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next time.